Welcome. My name is Chris Nash. I'd like to use a few minutes to introduce you to RelevantEdge Multi-Source Analytics. The solution uses the RelevantEdge Web Tracker, which is based on the open source project tail.js. So we've created this live demo site so that anyone can see how the RelevantEdge solution reduces the effort needed to gain a wide variety of granular analytics insights. The RelevantEdge solution is particularly useful for use cases where insights based on PII data are required and data protection is a high priority. The demo site enables you to browse the pages of a fictitious insurance company, submit a get quote form, and then view your own analytics as well as the data of others who have browsed the site in an embedded analytics dashboard that's also on the site. Of course, the embedded analytics dashboard uses the RelevantEdge solution.
Okay, so how does the solution work? With RelevantEdge, we use the terms integrated analytics or multi-data source analytics. So let's define what we mean by these terms while walking through how the data flows in the demo site. First, users visit the site from different channels. The RelevantEdge tracker, a server-side tracker, automatically tracks and categorizes more than 40 types of user actions. These actions include all clicks, that is, internal clicks, external clicks, anchor clicks, tab opens, and we very importantly differentiate between navigational clicks and in-component clicks as well with the categorization. The actions also include scrolls by scroll depth, page visibility, interactive time, and also interestingly, content components impressions by component names. Each user is tracked based on a device ID, and each session is tracked based on a session ID. The RelevantEdge tracker is based on the open source project tail.js, which lets you customize the tracker and store session data in any database. On this demo site, session data is stored in a NoSQL database, RavenDB, and we're using the free tier of RavenDB, I'll point out. The RelevantEdge application processes the data and reads and joins data from other data sources. That's why we use the term integrated analytics or multi-data source analytics. For this demo site, we have integrated HubSpot CRM as well as Umbraco CMS. The RelevantEdge application then loads data to SQL. For data visualization and reporting, we work with Power BI by default. The solution auto-generates the Power BI DAX based on our data model, and we programmatically update Power BI reports. For the demo site, we have an embedded Power BI report with onboard page navigation so that you can browse the site and view your data. In client solutions, I'd like to point out, you have full access to all data and the ability to create your own reports, be that using Power BI or the tools of your choice. As you can see, the collection database, RelevantEdge Application, and SQL for Power BI are hosted in the customer's tenant or wherever you want to host. So that means that the customer is the data processor and not RelevantEdge. And of course, as you can see from this architecture, this is a self-hosted solution. It is not software as a service solution. So we provide this architecture to enable our customers with full control of the data, easier data protection, more efficient data protection, easier and more efficient compliance, adherence, and cost-effective management of the integrated analytics data, over years of the lifetime of the data. So now what I want to do is I want to show how data is tracked using the solution, and then we'll have a look at some dashboards. So first, let me point out that using the cookie tool here, that we can see that the tail.js tracker is installed on the demo site here. And notice that I've landed on the site using a campaign. So I've got my UTM parameters, campaign, medium source, etc. here up in the query string. So with the solution, we're tracking, obviously page views, sessions, users, and we're also tracking scrolling and clicks and page visibility and visibility by component. So when we look at the demo site here, what I've done is I've put the component names in the text, for each component so that you can see the components that are viewed.
and clicked in when you're looking at the analytics, because this is something that we want to reduce the effort needed to go back and track clicks and views by component and component impression, etc., page, etc. So as I scroll down the page, you'll see that there are component names in each of the components here. So with regard to scrolling, what we do is we're tracking 3 levels of scrolling. We're tracking below the fold, to the middle of the page, and to the end of the page as 3 different levels of scroll depth that we track. So as I'm scrolling down the page, components are coming into view. Here's one with a custom name. So home content block 5 tips. So what we do is in the CMS, we enable the ability to provide custom names for components in addition to the default names of each component, which is the names that have been assigned in the CMS itself. So as I'm scrolling down, components are coming into view, and I'm able to click on different types of areas of the page and within different components, and these are navigational clicks. So we do differentiate between clicks that occur with that are navigating from one page to the other, as you click inside of a component, navigating from one page to the other. And then it may be the case that there are components where there's clicking within the component. So there could be tabs or there could be a carousel. And those in-component clicks are categorized separately from navigational clicks. We also see here that we have exit clicks. So if I do a control click here, notice that a tab opens up and it's an external click. And we also categorize external and internal clicks separately in analytics, again, for the convenience of being able to show those insights quickly by page and by user, etc. So as I'm navigating, I'm on the demo website, I'm able to request a quote for car insurance, come to the page where there's a form. And in the form here, what we're doing, a couple things to note. One is that we track by default any form, regardless of if it's from CRM or if it's just a simple form on a website. And we track the views and the abandoned, etc. In this case, on the demo site, we have HubSpot CRM integrated, so we have a 2-way integration. Each time the form is submitted, a user is created or updated in HubSpot. When the user is updated or the contact in the HubSpot is updated, let's say the lead status, then that's reflected back in the dashboards, that change in lead status, as I'm going to show. One of the interesting things is abandonment. So if I start to fill in the form and I abandon the form, let's say I just navigate away or I close the browser, then that's a form abandoned. And this is something that we have a lot of focus on tracking through analytics. So as I continue my session, I have the ability to scroll, click, etc. There's time on page. There's the active area on the page that we're also tracking. There's, again, the component impressions that we're tracking, etc. And I can simply end my session here, and then we'll have a look in the dashboards and see some of the data that's collected from this session. Okay, so now that I've browsed the site, we want to look at some of the analytics dashboards that are available on the site itself. So I'm on the web page on the demo site, RelevantEdge Analytics Dashboard, and the dashboard is displayed here. It is an embedded Power BI dashboard, and it may take a few seconds for the dashboard to render when you first visit the page. Now, in this dashboard or report, Power BI report, there is onboard navigation or built-in navigation. So there's page navigation that you see here for the 11 pages that are in the report. I have a date range selected, and I just want to walk through some of the different insights to give you a sense of what is possible. Now, there are dozens and dozens of data points available in the data model. These 11 report pages are an example of probably some of the 60% of the ones that you'd always want to use, and then there are the 30-40% of those that you would want to customize. First up, we have these classic metrics: the number of sessions, the number of users, the number of returning users, and you can see that there's red indicating and down arrow and negative 42%, etc. current date range selected versus the previous period, so the immediately preceding date range period. If I go and let's just change the date range, and you can see here that for the new date range, the trend changes. So there is uplift in the period for these metrics, so they now appear as green. Page views, the total clicks. We track click by category, which I'll get into as we walk through these reports. And we have the total number of HubSpot contacts that were created via the request quote form that's been submitted. And in this date range, there's been one submit of that form, and one of the 34 contacts was created. Here we have a chart that shows on a day-by-day basis some of the interesting metrics that are possible. So we have here the number of sessions, the number of page views, the number of scrolls, the number of component impressions, and the number of navigational clicks. So we do track scroll depth in terms of the user scrolling below the fold. That would be one scroll. If they scroll to the middle of the page, that would be 2 scrolls. To the end of the page, that would be 3 scrolls. So this is the total number of scrolls that have occurred, per day, as you can see here. We have component impressions. So we do a thing where we will track components by component name that's been assigned to them in the CMS system by default. And then we also have the option to track impressions of components, and we enable you to provide a custom name for any component. So if there are specific components that you want to keep an eye on by a specific name, you can do that, and you can also add tagging in the CMS. So we provide these options in CMS to provide a custom name for a component, as well as add tags in CMS. So it makes it easier for a general user to attribute things like components and look at insights by component and click and impression. And then with the navigational clicks, we have different types of clicks in terms of those clicks that occur internally, those clicks that are exit clicks, clicks that may occur navigationally, so you're clicking from one page to the other, like in a component or in the top navigation component. Or you could also have a click that occurs within a component, like a carousel, so you don't leave the page, but you're simply advancing a carousel with clicks, or choosing different tabs within a component. So those are in-component clicks. Here I'm just looking at the number of navigational clicks so that we have a sense of the amount of activity on the site. In this chart here, which is a funnel chart, we're looking at the total number of sessions in the period, the number of form abandonments for the get quote form, and the number of completes. And then we have a conversion rate here, 3.1. Here we have the number of sessions and page views. So pretty classic metric, where we have page names along this axis here, and then sessions and page views for those pages. We have here we're showing pages where clicks occurred. So what pages are users clicking in other words, and that's what we see here with the number of clicks that have occurred. So this is a nice way to measure the performance of different pages. And then we have here the amount of time by page, by active and visible number of seconds. So as a user views a page, scrolls down a page, pauses, maybe moves the mouse, etc., then we are keeping track of the interactive time that the user might be active on the page, as well as the visibility of the page. And we do this by, as the pages scroll down, the area of the page is visible is what is counted, and the area of the page that is obviously interactive, it must be visible. So that's what we're giving a sense of here, and this is simply the sum of seconds that you see here, and we do have other ways in the data model. We're also showing this by average seconds as well, and some other ways of showing those measures. Here we have the latest users, and so each session, each user that visits the site, cookie is dropped. They get a device ID, which you could think of as a user ID, and then each session gets a session ID, tracked, uniquely. And we have different ways of looking at these in terms of, the week, the month, the day, et cetera, the quarter, the year. And I'm just quite simply showing the full timestamp. And then for this user, for this session, we have the number, obviously one session, 6 page views, 9 scrolls, the city, the country, the region, just giving a sense of some of the possible data. So, we're showing device, location, channel, landing page, exit page, a lot of the classic metrics that you're used to, plus the ability to do this kind of customization and granular insights with regard to content or component-based insights. And here we see the number of sessions by device and by location, just in summary in these donut charts. So that was a fairly quick walkthrough of the overview page. Now I will just sort of walk through each of these pages, and I'm going to do it each one in a separate video so they can be browsed more easily.